Welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and at the request of Patreon subscriber King of the Depths, I am playing Valakut Beans. This is a deck that was submitted to me back when Murder's Karlov Manor was new, and kind of the goal was to stress test if Leyline of the Guildpact was playable on Legacy. Obviously, that was like 6 weeks ago at this point, and turns out, yes, there are shells that can support it, and they tend to look like this. However, I didn't want to just play the established Murktide Regent deck, so I twisted it up a little bit. Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath with a small lands package that gives you inevitability just by hitting land drops. Valakut the Molten Pinnacle works because of Leyline of the Guildpact, turns all your stuff into mountains, which is why we can't play a whole lot of these because there's only 2 other mountains in the deck, or 2 mountains in the deck, if we don't have a Leyline, and you can't always count on one card setting up the other. So this is a light package, but I think it will create some fun board states. I like Uro in a deck like this because Valakut and Field of the Dead both ask you to have a bunch of lands into play, and Uro is just naturally pretty good against scam decks. The power of scam decks is they rip all your good cards out of your hand before you get to cast them, and then apply pressure. Well, Uro doesn't care where he is. In fact, he prefers to be in the graveyard even. So I actually like Uro's position in the overall metagame, in addition to just being a good support for this Valakut thing. Uro and Beans don't always go together. This is usually kind of a either or, not a bofa. But this deck is good at supporting Beans. If we're playing Leyline of the Guildpact, that means Leyline Binding and Scion of Draco are just insane high rolls that we can include in the deck. The Fetch Triome dual land mana base can support Domain without a Leyline, and then these these powerful spells buy a bunch of time until we can play a Leyline or get a Bean. They all trigger Bean. This part of the engine is pretty well established. We just tucked a fun little Field of the Dead Valakut Life from the Loam package into a mostly existing established deck. I like to put a little spice on it at least. Let's get into it. This is Valakut Beans from King of the Depths.
3-for-1 Trading is one of Europe's leading Magic the Gathering retailers. Their online shop has a fantastic selection of high-end Magic cards, especially for vintage, legacy, and old-school players. They now exclusively offer the BoshNRoll community free, fully insured, and fast worldwide shipping on all their high-end singles, full sets, and out-of-print sealed product. They upload new cards every Wednesday with weekly sale offers and reductions. Use my code BNR0723 to get free worldwide shipping on your first order over €341, approximately $380. Scan the QR code or go to shop.3for1trading.com.
I'm on the play in round 1. I am going to keep this hand. There's no Leyline, but that's okay. We can cast it later, and most of the deck except for Valakut functions without it. I could cast Ponder here, or I could fetch Rafine's Tower and get my Domain building out, and I'm probably going to lean in that direction. We'll see what my opponent does. Might have to emergency brainstorm here. But if I don't, Rafine's Tower is the plan. Island. Okay. I hate the prevalence of Stifle in the current metagame, but we got through it. Rafine's Tower's in. Forest Beans. Here we go. Kick the engine online. Forest past no action is slightly concerning, though. This looks like something Show and Tell would do. Just literally nothing with that forest for the entire turn, or island for the entire turn cycle. Wasteland, okay. It doesn't feel like Show and Tell anymore. I would actually rather have my Rafine's Tower wasted here than play against Show and Tell. That's how I feel about that. The Beans. Off basics, let's go. Multiple Beans in play versus an Island Wasteland deck. This feels like a good position, as long as they don't pivot and suddenly mess me up. I guess this could be Rescaminator that just drew their basic island, and then they have a surprise Entomb line. Okay. Maybe it is that. Chalice of the Void. Oh, that's good against my hand. Uh-oh. Well, it's not Rescaminator. I don't know what this is. Island Swamp Chalice of the Void. Who are you? What are you doing? Reveal yourself. Solitude, pretty good. Someday. This Chalice is a huge beating. I need a Leyline Binding quickly. This feels like a Tezzerator deck. Like some kind of artifact control pile. Yeah, there's Tezzeret. Okay. It's in. I'm in trouble. They can make Chalice of the Void a 5/5 and get to work, or they could just plus here and start burying me in cards. Tezzeret, Agent of Volus, very popular when it was printed. Spawned a lot of archetypes. Okay, they're going on Chalice beats. Now I just need to draw a white card. And I can Solitude this thing, or at least put a Solitude at this thing. Yeah, Tezzeret plus, look at the top 5, put an artifact from them into your hand. Minus, target artifact becomes a 5/5. And then -4, target player loses X life, you gain X life, where X is twice your artifacts. Okay, any white card is good, but especially... Actually, it doesn't matter now. I was going to say especially Leyline Binding. Oh, this is rough. I wasn't ready for Chalice of the Void out of a blue deck. That has not happened in a long time. Okay, now any white source or any white card play the game. We are under some pressure. Plenty to work through, though. Next turn, that Seed of the Synod can become a 5/5. It would have had Summoning Sickness this turn, which is why they didn't immediately 10 me. Okay, they did it second main anyway. I don't have a Terminus in the deck. Okay, white source. I'm going to fetch and get a Savannah. And I guess I will pass into their turn and cast my Solitude on their upkeep. Dead to any counterspell here. A 2 Beans trigger. They can counter this before my Beans draw, so I don't have any looks at Force here. And then there's one other Solitude. Yeah, Force pitching. Oh, what is that card? Ackle Packle. First among equals. At the beginning of each player's end step, if an artifact enters the battlefield under your control this turn, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand and the other into your graveyard. Okay. And I did not draw a white card, which means I have no outs here. Okay. Soloed by Chalice of the Void. Tough beats. But now I know that's in the deck. Force of Vigor comes in. What else do I want to be doing here? There's a good chance this is an Urza Saga deck. We saw an island. I don't think I want Carpet, though. Veil of Summer, they are a blue-black deck, but Veil of Summer is just additional exposure to a Chalice of the Void. I don't think I need Loam in this matchup. I do like the Beans. I like the Bindings. I like the Scions. I like the Solitudes. Uh-oh, I basically like everything. What do I do with that information? Swords to Plowshares maybe gets lower. The threats we saw were artifacts or Planeswalkers, which means Force of Vigor gets half of those and none of it gets a Planeswalker. I could cut another Plow for a Veil. I haven't changed my 1-drop count. I have diluted my white count a little bit. Well, a lot. I cut 4 white cards for 4 non-white cards. But that only matters for Solitude. And Leyline Binding is a castable removal spell. Okay. I'm going to try it like this. Keep. This hand made possible by Leyline of the Guildpact. I'm going to put 1 in, keep the other one to pitch to a Force or a Solitude. Or a Force of Vigor. Ponder off of my Taiga, as Garfield intended. Okay, Force of Will. There's a blue card I can pitch. Beans. Ooh, this is awkward. I can't actually have all these cards at the same time. I'm going to put Force of Will on the bottom of the stack. Draw the Misty Rainforest. Then I'll draw up the Beanstalk next turn and Beanstalk into the Force. I can tap Misty Rainforest for mana, so I don't have to fetch it away. Spire of Industry. Currently only makes colorless mana. And did we get away with the plan here? Up the Beanstalk. We're in. Okay. Force back up on up the Beanstalk. Feeling good. And the Force draws a card. Get to pitch a Leyline, which is not a useful card in my hand anyway. Urza Saga confirmed. Glad I brought in my Dress Downs. Here's a Chalice. I think I just want to Leyline bind it this time. And then if they try to fight over Leyline binding, I can force that. Sick. All right, we got a bunch of these now. I was about to say maybe I brainstorm first, but no, I have to Leyline bind first because there's a Chalice in play. That's how that works. Okay, get rid of the Chalice. Now I can brainstorm. Not in a hurry to play this Field of the Dead. Yeah, Field of the Dead can go back and... Well, if I'm going to tap out for... Like, I'm thinking about how many of these lands I actually want. I don't have to shuffle this. Yeah, I'm actually going to put the 2 fetch lands back and play the Field of the Dead now. that gets it into play at least, and then I can draw and fetch next turn, and I have multiple ways to trigger Beanstalk and interact with the game in my hand right now. Because right now my deck's just looking for a threat, and Field of the Dead could be that threat if we go long enough. Ooh, opponent just passed. No action on the Chalice of the Void. I like that. Or no action on the Urza Saga. That's good news. Okay, I'm just going to pass. Land number 5 is on top of my deck to start solituding and stuff. Because of Leyline, I don't even care about Pithing Needle. I'm not going to fetch in response to this Saga. It simply does not matter. I imagine they have to get some card that actually moves their game forward. Yeah, Expedition Map. Cool. All right. And I am going to draw that 5th land because my hand is full of 5s I'd like to cast. Ancient Tomb was the get. Lotus Petal. All right. They've suddenly unlocked something. Cryptic Coat. I could force this, or I could Leyline Bind the Coat. They still get a 2/2. Yeah, that's fine. Is it possible Dreadnought's in this deck? I mean, anything's possible. It'd be wild, though. Okay, Leyline Binding. It's going to draw Misty Rainforest. Ooh, they want to fight over this. Forest pitching Akal again. I'm going to force your forest pitching Leyline. That's what it's for. There's the Misty. Now we're drawing fresh ones. Fresh beans. Get rid of Cryptic Coat. I could get rid of the Cloaked Creature. I think I'm more worried about the Cryptic Coat. Beans plus Brainstorm. Fresh beans. Even if this is a Phyrexian Dreadnought, I can take a hit from it. I'll be okay. And Uro is an exciting development. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not close to Field of the Dead yet. I can just play this Uro without fetching. Another Leyline Binding. You love to see it. Okay, Force blue card, Solitude white card with double beans. Uro pending in the graveyard. At some point, he will awaken. They don't have any colored mana because they don't have any artifacts. I go back to 20. Ouch. Basic Forest. Basic Forest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can fetch twice and get Uro into play here. Island. Plains. I'm just grabbing basics because as long as Leyline's around, it doesn't matter. Blue, blue, green, green. Even tap the forest for blue. Just to flex. And I am 1 land away from Field of the Dead now. Another Uro. I'm chilling. I'm not going to brainstorm or anything to get hyper aggressive about activating Field of the Dead. Having Force blue card is so much more important than having a 2/2 in play right now. And no attacks, no plays. Bayou will put me into Field of the Dead. Bayou. And then the fetch land is another Zombo. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can afford to ponder and still hold up Hardcast Force. I love that Leyline Binding. I'm not going to shuffle. I still have a land drop, and that land drop represents 2 more Zombos. My opponent would have to have an extremely well-protected combo pivot to win the game from here. Lotus Petal could be the start of that. Cryptic Coat. I'm not fighting over this. And they're done. Whatever they were looking for was not under the coat. Okay, 2 one-sided slaughters. Now we'll have a game 3. Cryptic Coat confirmed, which means there are a lot more creatures than I may have thought there were because anything can be a creature with the coat. Does that mean I want Swords of Plowshares? We did see Akal get pitched to Force twice. A card that I already forgot what it did, and I refuse to read it again. I could turn this Veil of Summer back into a Swords to Plowshares. Tezzeret's ultimate does target, which makes Veil of Summer the biggest blowout in the history of Earth. And Veil of Summer is green to support Force of Vigor, which is actually more important than supporting Solitude in this matchup. I'm just going to leave my deck how it is. Oh no. The curse of cute brewing. I have the Valakut, which makes red a color that my deck does not care about, and it's not even a mountain for domain purposes, and no way to support it. I will be mulling the sand. It giveth and taketh away. Ooh. Knowing we're against a Wasteland deck, I still have to keep this. Keep, and as much as I want to high roll with the Scion, I think I need all of these blue cards to make sure that I have a chance to play the game. Zlorian Revealed and Ponder are both pretty essential tools when you keep a one-lander. And if I have to pitch one or the other to Force, then I need the other to still use. I'd love to not get Wastelanded, though. But if they wasteland me, that means Urza Saga is not going to do anything. Okay, Rafine's Tower, Moment of Truth. Opponent did mull to 5 over there. Kind of expect a full Ancient Tomb start here. That is the type of thing a 5-card hand would be good at doing. Yeah, there it is. Okie dokie. Drew the land, never worried. I'm going to ponder. Solitude, Leyline Binding, more lands. I don't actually want Solitude. I would like land number 3. I don't want Solitude yet. It'll be good someday. I don't shuffle, give me Misty Rainforest, and pass the turn. I don't have a bean in play, which means that all my cards are just 1 for 1. This Leyline Binding answers 1/3 of Urza Saga. This Force of Will is an actual Force of Will 1 for 2 situation. This time I do care about Pithing Needle, but I feel like they can't afford to fetch that. If they fetch a Pithing Needle here instead of something that moves their game plan forward, I'm actually okay with that. Yeah, they went for Expedition map. Now I have a really interesting decision to make of I could Leyline Bind the Expedition map, which makes the construct smaller. I am going to cast Leyline Binding and see if it resolves, and my plan is to exile the map. Hopefully this just collapses their hand. Because seeing the line of Ancient Tomb, tutor up another Urza Saga, just keep these jerks coming without a dress down in sight for me. Hopefully they just pass without a land here. They do have a land. And they have Emery, Lurker of Valakut. Is this a card I can beat right now? Probably not. Alright, I'll force it. They're in pretty good shape here. I do not want to draw Solitude, so I will fetch before my draw step. I'm already exposed to Wasteland. Might as well build out my domain in case they mess with my Leyline. Alright, here we go. Put back Island and Bayou. Fetch. I'm going to play the Beanstalk first. I'm going to fetch basic Plains. Beans first, and then Scion can take over. I can afford to take 6. It's fine. Even if it's 8, it's probably fine. But cantripping and finding my way through this is going to be how I actually win the game. Please don't do anything messed up right now. Caracas, Scion of Draco, named after a legend, but is not a legend itself. They can't cast Tezzeret with this mana. Chalice is annoying, but doesn't currently affect my hand. I think the best draw in my deck is Dress Down, second best is Leyline Binding. Solitude, okay. If Draco draws a white card, we are 1000% stable. Drew up the Beanstalk. Okay, if they can play an artifact, I actually just have to chump block with Draco, which is rough. Field of the Dead entering tapped here also means I can't play my second Bean and look for a white card. Yeah, can I fade literally any artifact from their deck? Seems unlikely. Box Opal. They found an artifact. What are the odds? And I have to chump block, and I net lose 1 life here. I gain 4 and take 5. Go to 6. Wish I could remove an artifact from play somehow. Kill them all. Okay, white card. Forest. Up the bean. Or wait, no, I can hardcast this Solitude. That's where I want to be. I was about to up the Beanstalk and try to find a white card, but that makes less sense than just firing the thing I can fire. Okay. Hope you don't have a counter spell. Here I come. Up the Beanstalk draws a card. 2 cards in hand. Please don't be force. We're in there with the Solitude. Start grinding back. Here we go. I'm just going to take 4 from this attack. The lifelink poking back and forth is better than jumping once a swamp. Oh, let's go. That gives me lifelink. And it draws me 2 cards. I already had lifelink. It gives me vigilance. Wow, if they force this, that would be so sick. There's a pause. They're doing something. Thinking about it. Orcish Bowmaster. Oh, shit. Do I lose now? I do! Oh, no! No! God damn it. I'm at exactly 2. And I cannot decline this. If I had attacked first, I would have been fine. Alright, yep. Orcish Bowmaster does it. And this Dress Down showed up in a spot where it does not save me because the trigger's already on the stack. Okay. Exactly enough damage. Cool. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 2. I'm going to keep this hand. It puts a Leyline into play, has a Solitude, and can cast Brainstorm. That's enough for me. A Forest. Wild Growth. We're playing its Enchantress? What year is it? Okay. I will play this Field of the Dead. Might as well get it in. I'm not doing anything else this turn. Windswept Heath, Argothian Enchantress. Cannot remove that one with my Solitude. Enchantress can play Blood Moon. Sometimes they even have it in the main. I'm just going to respect that with some basics. Brainstorm. Up the Beanstalk Draco. Okay, that is a potential to just race. Put back some extra lands, and I could find their Wild Growth. I think I'd rather save it for a real payoff, like Sylvan Library, for example, just hypothetically speaking. Utopia Sprawl. And my plan here is to fetch a basic land, get a forest, go to my turn, cast my Beanstalk, play the Misty Rainforest, and then Leyline bind this Sylvan Library. It seems silly to attack their card draw when their whole deck is just going to draw zillions of cards. But that is kind of egregious card draw. Sterling Grove. Okay, that is a tutor. Second Enchantress. Can't force that one either. Sarah Sanctum. Oh, baby, we're getting smooshed. Parallax Wave. Exile target creature. Okay. That will not affect my creatures because they have hexproof. I think my best draw is a second Scion here and just try to get the beats in. I will play the first Scion. That sounds like its own legendary card, the first Scion. Another Leyline binding. I'd really like a Force of Will, but I will take this Leyline binding. Don't shuffle. I'm going to fetch from my basic island, and I'm going to exile the Sterling Grove. It's the only thing I can target, and I want to hit it before they can just sack it and tutor for whatever they want. I do appreciate Magic Online just targeting it automatically because it's the only legal target on my opponent's entire board. Your opponent has 10 permanents. You only get one choice with Leyline binding. Cool stuff. Utopia Sprawl. Here come the draws. Enchantress is historically a pretty difficult matchup for grinding control decks like this one. If you can't collapse their engine by either forcing all of their Enchantress effects or have a Narset or Leovold kind of thing, Orcish Bowmaster is nice against this deck. Opalescence, okay. They're ready to battle. Here they come. Parallax Wave is a 4/4. But so are all my shit. Whoa! Whoa! Screenshot, screenshot, screenshot. Thanks for the layup, opponent. That was fucked. Parallax Wave doesn't work here. I see the combo, but oh my goodness. Suddenly new life. I just have a board full of 6/6s. Enchantress's Presence. Okay. And a third Argothian Enchantress. Okay. I just get to mush with the whole squad here. I leave back up the Beanstalk, but everything else has First Strike, Lifelink, everything. Sarah Sanctum shit. Leyline of Sanctity. Okay. That doesn't affect my life. That might affect Valakut later, but for now I'm chilling. On Thin Ice. That cannot target any of my stuff. It will just cantrip though. Exile target creature and opponent controls. Yep. Illegal. And they scooped it. Okay. Opalescence good in my deck. Who knew? Force of Vigor coming in. I was never winning that game, by the way, if they didn't do that. Okay. Dress down, Force of Vigor come in. I think that's all oh, Deafening Silence is actually kind of cool against their deck because they do try to just chain a bunch of stuff together and go off. Swords to Plowshares can hit Sithis, the Harvest. Enchantress thing. Life and Loam doesn't matter. They're not attacking my lands. Scion was the nuts. Leyline was the nuts. It might be alright to cut Valakut, as corny as that is, because that is like the innovation of this deck. But if they're a deck with a bunch of Leyline bindings and solitary confinement, or Leyline of Sanctities and solitary confinements and stuff, I'm not going to be able to poke them anyway. There's just no targets for this, and I need to focus on shutting them down and getting it in combat. Let's go. on the draw for game 2, of course, and my hand is mid. However, Force of Will and Dress Down are potent. I'm going to keep this based on fighting over the important cards, the Enchantresses and stuff. Okay, if they have Leyline of the Void and Leyline of Sanctity in their deck, and Opalescence, this feels to me like the turbo attack you for 20 on turn 2 deck, not normal Enchantress. Unfortunately, when you're getting smooshed by those things, or when you're getting smooshed by an Enchantress, it doesn't matter what their various flavors are. I'm not going to fight over Sterling Grove. I am going to fetch Rafine's Tower. And I'd love to draw a fetch land that can get Taiga. Okay, no love. Brainstorm, don't betray me. Wow! That's how it's going to be, huh? All right. I am going to have to discard a card here. Damn. All right. I'll put back the 2 Beanstalks and discard Draco, I guess. Yeah, I am just, unless they give me something of force, I'm going to be going to discard the next 3 turns. Life is pain. They're fetching now for reasons. Oh, they're busting Sterling Grove now. Enchantress's Presence. Okay, I'll have a Force of Will target next turn. I think I'm going to dump this Beanstalk, because cards are not what I'm hurting for right now. Force pitching Leyline. Okay, that was a 2 for 2, because they spent Sterling Grove to get that. Okay, next turn I get to draw a wild card. Okay. I would have strongly preferred Leyline binding those, but obviously you see what's going on right now. Oh my goodness. A land? A land? How did I get so lucky? Okay, and I could fetch now, or I could take the cantrip. I'm just going to fetch now, get Taiga. I'd rather draw a land naturally. Force of Vigor. Okay, I like that. I'm not just going to fire off on Leyline of the Void, though. Or it's not even good. Okay, well, now I need to draw a card, and my hand does have 2 Uros in it. I am going to attack the Utopia Sprawl, though. If I didn't draw the land, I can't cast Uro here anyway. Just start kind of collapsing what they can do. And now I have a 6/6 if they Opalescence. Caracas. Gem Opalescence. Do it. Zenith for 2. Yeah, this is the shit that you try to hold on to your Force of Wills for, because going 1 for 1 with Enchantress's Presence is so much better than having to force it. But when you look at 5 cards and none of them are lands in your 21 land deck, what are you going to do? If I draw a white or blue source, I can remove this Enchantress here. Come on, deck. Oh, no. Okay, I think the line now is to just play out the forest, endure whatever happens this turn, end step, dress down, and then try to clear the Enchantress on my own turn. Another one. Yep, that's in. That sucks. Carpet of Flowers. Good for 2 cards and 1 mana. Go into second main to trigger the carpet. Utopia Sprawl draws 1,000,000. The ship may have sailed. Sylvan Library. Hate that too. But it resolves. Mary's Guile. Oh yeah. They're Enchantressing now. End step, dress down. I draw for that. Leyline. This is almost castable, and it is actually good. I think I Force of Vigor the Leyline of the Void and the Sylvan Library here. Pitching one of the Uros. As I get to Leyline Binding, which will draw a card. If I draw a blue source here, I can Uro, put it straight into play even. Okay, here we go. Take an Enchantress. Fetch. Oh wait, no, I should take the other Enchantress. What am I even doing? Tundra. Yeah. Yeah, I'll kill the other Enchantress rather than putting Uro into play. Okay, let's get back to work here. And Scion of Draco is castable. Trigger the beans. And I can play Leyline next turn and begin the beats. I don't know, that was a pretty good turn. I mean, they had a much better turn the turn before, but we'll see how this goes. They've got a Destiny Spinner. This can make 5/5s. Caracas is a 5/5. Carpet of Flowers. If they had done this first, Caracas would be a 6/6, and it's exactly the same. 7/7. Okay, now they have a 7/7. All right. Weird. but okay. I am not gonna tangle with these creatures. Okay, looking for a removal spell. Force of Will, a little late to the party. They can make a bunch of 7/7s next turn. I can go to exactly 7 life, block 1, I have first strike. How many can they actually make? It costs 4 to do this. The land doesn't untap, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh yeah, they're good. All right. I guess I could Uro and try to spike in out to the Destiny Spinner. That's the line here. Uro's got to draw Solitude or the other Leyline Binding. Okay, here we go. Ponder. Okay, I can shuffle Ponder, and I get 2 looks at Solitude, Leyline Binding, or I can keep the Brainstorm and get 3 looks at the 2 Solitudes. So 3 looks at a 2-outer versus 1 look at a 3-outer. I think the Brainstorm's better. Don't shuffle, fetch. Gonna get Volcanic Island, or yeah, Volcanic Island. As good as anything here. Come on, Solitude. Not there. Okay. Defeated. Yeah, I mean, getting Brainstorm locked on turn 2 is tough beats. Swords to Plowshares is relevant versus the Destiny Spinner, but I can also bind Solitude and Force of Vigor that. If they've got Caracas and Leyline of the Void, I think I want to back off of Uro just a little bit. I'll go +1 Plow, -1 Uro. I can still dress down my Uros in. They're still bad against Caracas. Oof, this trick again. I'm going to keep it this time. Math is on my side. You can't talk me out of it. I'm going to cast Ponder. Lorien Revealed, kind of a land. And Solitude is not a bad card. I think I want the Solitude later, though. Okay, don't shuffle. I will Lorien Revealed in my upkeep. Wild Growth. Island Cycle. I'll get the basic. I have the Leyline. They're probably not going to Blood Moon me in this build with Caracas and Sarah Sanctum and all this other stuff, but just being aware it's the thing that could happen. Leyline Binding's a good card. And I think I just want to Deafening Silence here. That will slow down their engine, even if it doesn't collapse it entirely. I will force Argothian Enchantress. And I'd love a Beanstalk. Beanstalk or Scion are the cards I'm looking for here. Taiga. Brainstorm. Hey, there's all the cards I wanted. I can't cast Beanstalk because of my own silence, but what I can do is play Draco now and play Beanstalk next turn, holding up Binding for their turn. Okay, here we go. This worked out pretty well. Enchantress's Presence, I have the answer for that, and they can't cantrip right now because I did the thing I was supposed to do. Up the Beanstalk, draws me a card. In my upkeep, in their upkeep, I will go after their Enchantress Presence. They went to 15. In your upkeep, attack the engine. Another Beanstalk. Okay, I'm F6'd. Let's go. Sylvan Library. Okay. Their life total is under pressure. Ponder is worse than Beanstalk, I think. Just having the engine, especially if I draw a force off of this Beanstalk, that would be so insane. It was a Flooded Strand. Hit you with Scion. This is a card's worth of Sylvan Library you don't get to keep. And this is the part of the game where bringing in Deafening Silence in pseudo-fair matchups is awkward, because I would have loved a cantrip and try to find some additional action there, maybe another Scion, draw 2 cards, add to the clock, etc., etc. However, the Deafening Silence is also holding back them just drawing 85 cards this turn. Like, they just found an Enchantress, and they get to draw 1 card and ramp 1 time, rather than dump out their hand and draw 3 or 4 cards. I'm hoping this ends up being net positive for me, even though it is affecting my game. The Sithis also gains life, which is really good with Sylvan Library and when you're under pressure. They've got mana in their pool. Beseiju the D-Silence. Bummer. Okay. I'll get a Forest out of my deck. I want to leave the Rafine's Tower because I'm kind of low on gas. And if I draw that, I want to be able to cycle it. And all of that theory conversation led to them Of all the things that I had in play, they had to Besage You the Deafening Silence, not the Leyline Binding on their Enchantress, not the Dress Down, or not the Beanstalk, not the Leyline. And now I get to cast multiple spells, if that's even helpful. Okay. I will keep the Ponder. And I'm going to shuffle. I don't want to ponder and look at that Brainstorm again. I'm looking for action. I'll get Plains because it is not a island. Force of Will, I'm in. Okay, don't shuffle the Force. That Force is a draw 2. And I'm passing here. They're untapping with a lot of mana and Sithis. I could dress down Sithis, but then that also dresses down Scion. And I might need that Scion. I'm actually going to set a stop in their draw step and see how many cards they draw here. Like if they draw 2 cards, go to 1, thinking they're going to sit their way out of it, I might just dress down so they can't gain life or draw cards this turn. Okay, they did not. They stopped, so I will chill and just hold my Force of Will. Mary's Guile. Off you go. Wow, do they only have 1 enchantment anyway, even after all that? That would be great for me, if true. Okay, they just actually didn't do anything with all that. I'm going to start with Ponder. I can still hardcast Force. I don't want all these lands. Shuffle that. Gotta lay it anyway. Scion, get in there. Opponents at 5. They get to see the same 3 cards twice here. They can Miri's Guile, put them back, and then Sylvan Library to pick them all up. Library triggers. If I knew there was a blue card on top of my deck somehow, I would dress down now just to cut the Sithis out. But I think Force of Will with draw 2 cards attached is probably my best way to play this game. And I think if I have to force something, I'll pitch the dress down to the Force and leave all my mana open for the 2 cards I'm going to draw. They went to 1. Or go with the Enchantress. Maybe now's the time to dress down before they draw multiple cards. Okay, I'm actually going to go with dress down if this is their line. This turns off my Scion if they're holding an On Thin Ice or something. That's going to be really shitty, and they suddenly have no pressure. Okay. Kind of dangerous here. But we did it. Okay. Ooh, those margins were thin. But cut off 2 Enchantresses and... beating Enchantress. We beat them 1 game, and they lost to themselves another game. That Opalescence onto my board where I had more enchantments than them was so friggin' funny. On to the next round.
Introducing Club GG, the mobile platform that lets you create your own poker clubs and play with your friends anywhere. Creating a club is easy. Just download the app, set up your club, and invite your friends. If you're looking for more competition, Club GG offers an optional subscription model, giving you the freedom to choose. Becoming a Club GG member unlocks access to compete for real prizes at a fixed monthly fee and no additional cost to play. Download Club GG now and join thousands of fellow poker enthusiasts. Use code BOSH for a free 7-day trial standard membership. Club GG, where the fun of poker meets the thrill of competition. Suitable for adults 18 and over. Visit us at clubgg.net.
I'm on the draw for round 3, and got a mulligan this no lander. I will keep this one with a bunch of dope cards and some lands. Once Upon a Time, plus Verdant Catacombs. Feels like Cradle Control to me. Grist the Hunger Tide. Ignoble Hierarch resolves. Speaking of Grist the Hunger Tide, I have to tell a story that comes with some advice. I was recently playing in a tournament where somebody resolved Atraxa and selected Grist as their Planeswalker. And the opponent was like, that's a creature. And the Atraxa player was like, it's also a Planeswalker. And then the exchange from that point was no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. And then they just stared at each other awkwardly. Just call a fucking judge, people. That was so miserable to sit next to. Ugh. I got the cringe goosebumps right now, just retelling the story. It's difficult to bear. Collector Oof. I don't care about that card. Drawing Solitude, playing up the Beanstalk. I cannot fetch Taiga, which is what I wanted. I'm going to have to go slightly fewer land types than I wanted here. Do I want double white or do I want double blue? I think double white for this matchup. They've got Grist and 2 mystery cards. I could pitch a Solitude and pitch a Forest, draw 2 cards this turn if I need to survive anything. I can even beat a Allosaurus Shepherd into spell because I could Solitude the Shep and then force the spell. You thought you had me. Please go Cradle Natural Order right now. Okay, now I have a choice to make. I'm going to counter this Grist, and to do that I have to remove the Shepherd first. If I pitch Swords to Plowshares, then I can't necessarily cast Leyline Binding, but I do have 3 draws before I have to cast the spell, and this one cantripping is a big deal in the future. I am going to pitch the Plow for that reason. I'm going to play to my best long game scenario rather than what the guaranteed situation is now. I'm going to force pitching Brainstorm. Finding this Uro, or finding this Loam, means that Uro is on, like Donkey Kong. And I did find the fetch land. This can get a Taiga or Bayou or Rafine's Tower, making Leyline Binding cost 2. They've got a Mortuary, and they put their card in the graveyard. A Ponder. Okay. Options here include, I can't get Domain because there's not a Badlands in the deck. I could Ponder. I could just fetch and cast Loam, leaving up, or no, that doesn't leave up anything. I could just play Uro. I could Ponder, leaving up Leyline Binding. I could risk death and just tap out for Loam plus Ponder here. I think that does the most for me over time. I'm going to risk death. I think if they had Natural Order, they would have played it last turn, not Grist. I could at least Ponder and then decide. Oh, okay. Force of Will. What does that do? Not much right now, actually, is the sad answer. It makes sure I don't die, which is good. Now the question is, do I want to loam back 2 lands and get Uro set up for the future, or just keep that Beanstalk that's on top of my deck? I think I have to loam. I'll get Volcanic Island, cast Light from the Loam, shuffle away the Beanstalk. But I will have Domain next turn, Domain plus Uro. Unless they Natural Order now, then I have to pitch the Uro. If the 2 cards in their hand are Shepherd plus Natural Order, GG. Wow, well, glad I had a Force. Let's cut that out. Not going to Dredge Loam here. Scion. Okay, I can play a 4/4 flying with no other abilities and hold up Leyline Binding. Not the worst in this spot, actually. Valakut, the pineapple is here. I'm going to fetch Bayou, or Rafine's Tower is the same as Bayou, right? Yes, except better. No, it doesn't give me green, but I just pitched Uro. Yeah, I think Bayou is actually better. 4/4. Its activated abilities can't be activated because of Collector Roof. Hilariously. Luckily, attacking is not an activation. Ignoble Hierarch. Okay, I could just trade off with Oof here if it attacks. I think that's better than using my Leyline Binding on something that isn't like Grist or Fiend Artisan. Yeah, I'll just make the trade. Look at this second main Fiend Artisan. We played around it. Please clap. Another Scion, rewarded immediately. Don't lose to cards you don't have to lose to. That's my lesson for you. Swords to Plowshares is nice. Draco gets to draw a card. Uro's here now. I could hold on to Uro as force fodder, or I could just shove Uro into play right now. I'm going to hold it as force fodder because there are draws in their deck, namely Natural Order, that are really good here. This game is up to me to throw in the trash. I am ahead in basically every way except life points, but that will change quickly if I don't throw it away. Okay, cool. We did it. I like Dress Down. Veil of Summer is a maybe. They have Thoughtseizes sometimes, and like some black removal and Bowmasters. This Life from the Loam's been pretty mid. Just haven't played against any Wasteland decks yet. I like Force of Will. I like Lorien Revealed. I actually just like my whole deck here. I'm not going to make room for the Veils. I'm going to bring in the Dress Downs and find a cut somewhere. I could go to 3 Scions or 3 Forces. Those are the spots that I kind of consider flexible. I'm going to go down to 3 Scions. I'd rather not lose to the combo deck. They're weird because they're kind of a combo deck, but they're also kind of a Maverick deck, and you generally don't want Force versus Maverick, but you do versus combo. Oh, baby, look at this handful of cards that don't do anything. Can't even fetch Taiga here and get Domain. Yeah, I'm just going to mulligan. Ooh, all right, well, trust in the deck to produce a white source before I'm dead, because this hand's really good with a white source. I'm keeping this. You can't stop me. I'm going to put Leyline Binding on the bottom. This is obviously risky, but I also think that 5 cards is likely worse than playing to the out of draw any white spell, or white source. We have lots of white spells. They got a Bayou and an Ignoble Hierarch. And I'm going to draw a fetch land. Nope, not quite. Okay. I will play Forest and pass. I don't want to get choked or Carpet of Flowered if I can avoid it. I would accept Beanstalk as a live draw. Okay, so Lorien revealed. We got 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, plus Beanstalks. We got 16 hits here. It's not that many. Cradle, Fiend Artisan. Beanstalk would actually be insane. I would unload like crazy and just exile the Reclaimer and the Fiend Artisan if they're worth cantripping. Come on, deck. Dress down. Or I can dress down on their turn. That's a rebuy. Or dress down in my end step. Yeah, I'm just going to end step a dress down, and we can see what happens this turn. If they just attack, I could flash in 2 Solitudes, eat 2 creatures. Because Solitude doesn't exile a creature on ETB, but it doesn't die either. Yeah, if they just, like, YOLO attack for 2, I could create problems. Zenith for 3. Okay. This will get Grist. Please attack, please attack, please attack, please attack. Windswept Heath. Oh yeah, make the attacks. I'm doing it. Ambush mode. Solitude, Solitude. Block, block. Bang! Then immediately putting Grist under pressure as well. Scion of Draco. Can I cast this? Not even close. Cost 6. Attack Grist the Hunger Tide with my creatures. They can fetch Dryad Arbor, get a double block. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Okay, Grist goes to 1. We get a trade. This game has become very weird based on the cards that have happened, but I'm excited about it. Yeah, Thoughtseize, my hand sucks. Good luck. They took Scion, recognizing that it's just a fetch land away from being in play. They could Natural Order here. Oh, no, they're down to just Mana Dinguses. Mana Dinguses and Grist. Okay, I'm holding Force of Will now. Attack Grist. We're going to get another double block here, but then Grist is going to stay in play. This doesn't get better if I wait, is the problem. Yeah, I think Grist is going to take over from here. If I draw a Beanstalk and get some traction, that's the way that this game turns around. If I Beanstalk into fetch land right now, that's actually pretty good. They know I have a Force of Will in my hand. They don't know that I have a blue card to support it. Aquarian Rangers, whatever. They're in for 2. Come on, Beanstalk. Leyline Binding. Okay, now Beanstalk's even better. Shit, that's really bad. Oh no. They're just draw a card. It's a good one. And this can be an attack for 7. Might as well be. What else are you doing with your mana? Yep, there it is. Activate the Shep. I take 7. Beanstalk. Dress down. Okay. Well, I will dress down in my end step again. Brainstorm. Okay. We might play the game soon. Okay, Grist. There are 6 creatures in the graveyard. Grist is at zap range. I don't think they're going to do that right away, but it is there. A Beanstalk. Okay. A single fetch land does not get me where I need to go. Or fetch land right off the top does. Fetch land that I have to brainstorm into does not. How much damage am I taking? This is 10, 11, 12, 13, plus 6. They are representing lethal here. I think I have to brainstorm first. Okay, we did hit everything. Leyline Binding can cost 2 here. Okay, do I shuffle or not is the question. I'm going to pass the turn holding up Leyline Binding. 5, 6, 7, 8, zap. That's not quite lethal. Okay. Oh, wait, no, 6, 14. That is exactly lethal. All right. 10, 11, 12, 13. They have me lethal multiple ways here. I think I have to shuffle, even though this 1 point of life might matter a lot. Okay, what I need them to do is activate Grist pre-combat. This Beanstalk showed up 1 turn too late, I think, to be completely insane. They got the Mortuary. They have been in a pattern of activating Grist pre-combat. If they stick to that pattern, there we go. Okay, Grist activated pre-combat. Now I don't have to think about getting Grist blasted this turn. Oh. Oh. This is great. I was gonna exile the Shepherd anyway. Okay, so I gotta fetch a Savannah here. I need a white source. Or I have plenty of green. I'm gonna get Tundra. And Leyline Binding costs 2. I mean, this isn't great. I don't have like a sweeper to follow this up with. And they can decide to activate and pump the Quirion Ranger now. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this is 8 damage. I am still alive. I would have preferred if all of these were cantrips. Hey, what do I need to do from here? Oh, they left a damage back. Interesting. This could have been for 8, but they went for the Exalted instead. 1 extra life point. And they're using Quirion Ranger to pick up and replay Mortuary. That's sick. I haven't seen that happen before. Leyline Binding is among the cards that might actually still play the game. I'm going to bind the Grist before it activates again. I'm still dead here for Xaxes. What if they don't know? All right, I'm going to exile Quirion Ranger and pass. They haven't zapped me with Grist yet. I just have to hope that's not on their radar. I need to give them the opportunity to make a mistake here. They figured it out. All right. Okay, a speculative hand that led to a cool line that did not pay out. I will submit this deck again. That was a sick game, though, considering I played the entire game without the second most important color in my deck, and it was still close. It was not close. I'm lying. If the Beanstalk showed up a turn earlier and the Leyline Binding and the Force of Will were both cantrips on that last turn, maybe it would have been close. Okay, lands. Keep it. I have a land and a Lorien Revealed and the capacity to find more lands. And a white spell. Tundra, Ponder. There we go. I'll put the Taiga in my hand and then draw the fetch land next turn. They did have their Thoughtseizes in for game 2. Hierarch. I'm going to brainstorm. Leyline, not helpful for a while. It is a clean pitch to force. If I put back Island Leyline, I think that's just the easiest thing to do here. And now I have to decide if I'm going to fetch Rafine's Tower to get Domain next turn, or if I just get some untapped white source to plow this Hierarch. I'm not going to plow the Hierarch right now. I have Force of Will for something like Choke that I'd be more worried about. Another Hierarch. Elvish Reclaimer. Okay. That's one that I'm slightly concerned about. I'm still going to fetch the Rafine's Tower, though, and just have Domain locked up. I don't need to brainstorm now. I'm just going to plow the Reclaimer and pass the turn. I can dress down if they go for a natural order. I can also force if they go for a natural order. And if they don't do anything, I can brainstorm and then cycle Lorien Reveal to shuffle. Or I could just go to my turn and chill. I have many options. Allosaurus Shepherd, hate that. But I do have the dress down, which means I can counter spells. Okay, I'm going to dress down here and then decide if I need to force this Fiend Artisan. Looks like I do. I'm going to force pitching Lorien Revealed on the Fiend Artisan. I'm close to casting Lorien Revealed, but not close enough that I can keep it over a Brainstorm here. They are representing Orcish Bowmaster mana, and it is a card this deck plays. I'm going to lead with Ponder so I can Brainstorm over the top if they do have Bowmaster. Okay, Beanstalk I like. Don't shuffle this. Beanstalk draws Fetch Land. I play Fetch Land. Hope I don't die this turn. They are prepared with the Shep. If they're holding Natural Order, they're going to be able to Atraxa here if they want to. Or if Hoof is lethal, they could do that. 4 mana in the pool. Bad news. Please Zenith. Please Zenith. Please Zenith. Oh no, the mana's going back into the pool. They're changing their mind. Now they're casting a 3 mana spell. Zenith for 2, can't counter it. Maybe this deck wants 1 Terminus. It came up last round, and then this round it would be a great thing to draw for. But with all the ley lines and leaning forward so hard with the Dracos and stuff, you don't have a ton of flex slots for a sweeper. And if your deck's doing what it's supposed to, then you don't really want to sweep, because you don't want to clean up your own Draco. Here's just 4 damage from Exalted triggers. Good stuff. Fetch in the end step. I would like Savannah. Ponder, I'm going to start with Brainstorm here. Up the Beanstalk, Force of Will. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, they could get a 5-drop. If they have a Cradle, Sandbagged, or they draw one, I just lose. But if they cast a spell, investing in this Beanstalk's pretty good. And I'm going to put back Leyline and Island, or Leyline Ponder. It doesn't matter. I'm casting Beanstalk here. Leaving up white mana, so I can Ponder and perhaps hit a Swords to Plowshares, or even better, a Leyline Binding. Shuffle this. That was 2 Leylines and an Uro. Another Beanstalk. Okay. Hope I don't lose. The coast is clear, and they know it. They have both Fiend Artisan that is not a spell, and Allosaurus Shep that makes their spells uncounterable. It looks like they're going to find a Grist here. They're fiending for 3. This might be a juke, and they just get Bowmaster. Is it X or less? Yeah, it is. Oh, Magus of the Moon. That's a good juke, too. Okay, hard mode activated. I do have a base planes in my deck. I don't have Hydroblast. Brainstorm. Leyline Binding, Ponder. Well, the Leyline Binding is the card I wanted the most here, except I wanted to be able to cast it. That was a good juke. They got me. And there was nothing I could do about it. I saw a bunch of cards and didn't spike my white removal for the Fiend Artisan. This is 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, 7 if they want to attack. I'm at 2. I would have to Ponder into exactly basic planes. Oh, Leyline Binding also would cost 4 in that environment, not 1. I don't think I can win this game. And now a Grist on top of everything else. None of this can be countered. Taking 5 from the beats. And Ponder, Moment of Truth. None of these are basic planes. Shuffle, and GG. Yep, Magus of the Moon. Too much cool tech. It's really important not to let them untap with Fiend Artisan, because then anything could happen. And I did my best to fend this off, but it was protected by the Shepherd on cast. I did force one of them this game, and just didn't have a removal spell on the turn where I needed it. GG, let's go. Welcome to TopDeck.gg, your community's home for everything competitive Magic has to offer. If you're hosting an event, playing for a huge prize, or advertising your events to thousands of players, we've got you covered. Using intuitive pairing software, playing Magic is a breeze. Players just have to sign up online, then scan the QR code in-store. Give competitors the gift of perfect information as their bracket updates in real time. The self-reporting software saves you time and leaves paper match slips in the past. Leave the heavy lifting to TopDeck.gg so your community can relax and focus on playing Magic. I'm on the draw for round 4. I'm gonna mulligan this one. I will keep this one and put Valakut the Molten Pinnacle on the bottom. I hope we got at least one Valakut trigger this league. I'm a little worried about it at this point. It's getting pretty deep here. It has not been close to happening yet. Opponent went to 5. It's a good time to have Force of Will in my hand. Okay, I drew a backup Ponder, which means that I don't mind casting this one and losing out on Force. Another Ponder and a Leyline Binding. And a fetch land that does not get Taiga, but it does get Volcanic Island, and I'm holding Bayou naturally. Yeah, this is a fine spread of things. Tundras plus Bayou gives me Leyline Binding next turn, even without a fetch. It looks like we got some Rescaminator. This is a spooky deck to have Mull to 5 against, or them having Mull to 5 against us. Because they have the stability and the ability to fight so well, they don't mind having 5 cards. Like, if they Grief and Tomb Reanimate right now with their 4 cards, it's not going to matter what else happened. Cycle to Troll. I kind of love if they just reanimate this Troll. I have Leyline Binding on top. I can get rid of it. Cool. All right. Deal. Resolves. Rescaminator confirmed. And then Leyline Binding. I'm just going to shove this into Daze. I can force if I'm really worried about it. Oh, they forced me. That's even better. I force, you force. You have 1 card left in your hand, and it's Underground Sea. All right, world. Let's get it done. I can fetch Volcanic Island next turn and cast Scion plus Ponder. It did pitch a Brainstorm to that Force of Will. Okay, I'm going to fetch Volk and play Scion. I'm playing Scion first because I don't want that to get dazed. And I'm going to Ponder now. If they have Bowmaster, that's pretty good, but I don't mind if this gets dazed. And wow, that's strong. I'm going to put Uro in my hand and leave Leyline on top. And I can cast Leyline next turn. And then Scion goes Insano mode. Or I can just Uro. This deck doesn't really play removal other than Archon of Cruelty in the main. I think casting this plays. All right, so we've got green, green, red. What the fuck? All right, hold on. Red, blue, green, green. Okay. Magic Online. Confused about what I'm trying to do here. This does work, though. All right, we're in. And Scion causing trouble. If their hand is Entomb Reanimate, we probably still lose. But I've made a good run out of this. Okay, Brazen Borrower releasing the Troll of Khazad-dûm. Okay. Racing versus taking the stats off Scion. Yeah, I guess trying to race makes the most sense here. But I can just replay my binding next turn. It's kind of a losing battle no matter how you shake it here. This thing does just have flying on its own. It's not one of the words granted by its ability. It just literally has flying printed on it. That play would be insane if it didn't. Wasteland, okay. We've broken free of Wasteland's horrible clutches with the Leyline. I'm not worried about that anymore. They can hardcast Grief here, which I'm slightly worried about. And taking the Leyline binding, casting Grief, that's a real race. Scion of Draco, get in there. Do I even need to Leyline bind? I could just play Uro. I could play nothing. I think I'm just going to play nothing and give myself the option to remove whatever I need to remove or brainstorm into force if they do come up with a graveyard play. Because I have the creatures beat. Brazen Borrower's in. I am actually just going to brainstorm right now with this land they're about to destroy. And I did find Force of Will, which is what I was looking for. Okay, cool. Should be pretty safe to win this game from here against a 2-card hand. Okay, sweet one. Scion of Draco. Getting it done. Re-Scaminator. Veil of Summer, Surgical Extraction, Carpet of Flowers come in. Dress Down's not irrelevant, but I'm not high on it either. This is a Light from the Loam matchup, but it's also a matchup where Carpet of Flowers is good. I don't know, maybe Loam doesn't belong in the deck if I'm porting it out versus Re-Scaminator. I think I can back off of a Scion. And Force of Will is kind of risky. Because if they pivot, Force of Will is awful. And I'm bringing in a bunch of Surgical Extractions and Veil of Summers for either plan. Okay, I'm going to cut all my Force of Wills like a boss. And from here, it's a Beanstalk, an Uro, or a Scion. And I think it's Scion from among those options. Scion was really good that game, though. Like just having the best creature in play versus this deck that kind of their whole thing is trying to have the best creature in play. And cut a Leyline. That could be a thing. You're less likely to have it in your opening hand, but you never want 2 of these in a game, and it is castable. And I just cut 4 of the cards that care about having a blue card. All right, I'm going to try it like this. Okay, the Valakut with no Leyline. I did cut one. I think this hand is fine, though. It has a bunch of removal and at least a land to cast Ponder with. The rest is up to the deck to participate. They mulled to 6. Scalding Tarn. Brainstorm. Okay. I think I have to basic Island Ponder here. This is just such a dangerous position versus a Wasteland deck to fetch anything else, even though I am trying to get Domain. Okay, that kind of rules. I'm going to put the Surgical in my hand with the Forest underneath it. That just let me play around Wasteland for the longest time. Undercity Sewers. That's not an Entomb, or at least sometimes 1 out of 53 times, or 2 out of 53 times it's an Entomb. Found a Grief, okay. That's kind of an Entomb. It's not the big Entomb. It is relevant, though. Also kind of telling that they don't want Grief in their hand. I usually always want Grief in my hand when I'm playing this deck. So they either already have Disruption or they're holding Reanimate. Okay. Fire the Surgical. Reanimate makes sense for wanting a Grief in your hand. Or wanting a Grief in your graveyard rather than your hand. But if you had an extra black card, the Grief is still better to draw. Okay, they do have a Daze. Grief's going to happen. F6 from here. Handful of white cards. I imagine they'll take Swords to Plowshares, because that's the cleanest white card. And because of the Daze, they can replay the Sewers. Daze picking up Sewers is like going off. That's basically show and tell. A plus B. Okay, they already had a Grief and another Reanimate in hand. That's why they didn't want the extra Grief. But they took both my Brainstorms, okay. That is a line that works. I'm going to play Valakut because I'm not playing any spells anyway. Just get this tap land out of the way. And if they waste it, I'm not even that sad. I'd rather they waste Valakut than like a Tundra later in the game. There's the Wasteland. Animate Dead. Not a big fan of this. I basically have to lose my whole hand here. But I believe it is worth doing. I'm going to Solitude, Exile, Leyline Binding, and exile this first Grief. And then we just play from the top of the deck, as Garfield intended. I'm getting rid of the first Grief because this one's only a 2-2. Doesn't hit quite as hard. Forest and pass. These are the games where having an Uro is pretty insane. Like I talked about in the deck tech of wanting to have Uro versus Rescaminator because their kind of average non-nut draw just gets dumpstered by Uro. And this is exactly the situation where that would be a great card to draw. Lorien Revealed. I'm going to play Volcanic Island and pass here. I'm going to hold on to this Lorien Revealed. Obviously, if they cast a discard spell, I'll cycle it, and so they miss, but I'm going to give my deck a chance to draw lands before I make any commitments here. Scion of Draco. Okay, I can cast that this turn. It goes into Daze, but I can cast it. Fiend's Tower, play that. Alright, I would hate to get this dazed, but also I gotta cast my spell. Force of Will, we'll take that. Force pitching Murktide, that was a big exchange. Okay. I believe I am favored in this top deck war, but I'm behind on the board. Come on, deck. Just deliver the goods. That's not the goods. I considered Mystic Sanctuary in the deck, but that's in the Valakut Field of the Dead slot, and you don't get that many tech lands. They could Animate Dead my Scion, and now Grief has lifelink. Okay. I'm not going to fetch, because that does change the clock by a whole turn. Beanstalk, Beanstalk, Beanstalk. Well, I'm not going to play that, because I can't use it anyway, even if it is in play. And it might be a good card to get rid of with a Brainstorm next turn. I'm dead to Orcish Bowmaster. Literally just the 1-point ping does it. Once again, a Terminus to the Miracle here would be great. Swords of Plowshare is a little late. Okay. I mean, that was a tight one. That got into the spot where they used a ton of resources early to mess me up, and then just kind of turned it around, and had something resembling stability, and Uro would have flipped that game for me. I think my plan's still my plan here. I'm going back in. I'm going to keep this hand. I like the Beanstalk. I like the stability of land drops it's going to make. Opponent kept 7. They've played on 5 and 6 so far this game. Now we got a 7. Look out. Underground Sea, pass. This smells to me like an Entomb. I can choose to play around or play directly into Wasteland. I'm going to play around it because I can. Okay, now I can get all the basics in my deck. I'm going to get a Forest and a Plains here and cast up the Beanstalk. This is the type of thing they'd like to counter if they can. The line I don't want to happen now is float black, daze this, Entomb. That's the thing I'm most worried about. Okay, they've got a Brainstorm. Probably digging for a daze here. That means I'm not getting Entombed. That's good news. Entomb may or may not be in the deck, but it is the scariest thing that the 75 is capable of at this time. Okay, they spent a Force on it pitching Brazen Borrower. That's a lot better than getting dazed. Still, I'd rather have it in play. Brainstorm, well, main phaser. And no follow-up Grief, it looks like. Cool. I got a turn. Brainstorm. I do like that card. I'm going to play Misty Rainforest. This represents Volcanic Island, which can Leyline Binding for 2 if I need to do that. I can also Brainstorm, then shuffle with Lorien Revealed, so I don't need a fetch land here. They fetched away their Brainstorm cards, and Entomb, Well, time to do something. I'm going to fetch the Volcanic Island and give myself a chance for Leyline Binding. And I'll Brainstorm here. Oh, that's really freaking good. Okay, hide the Leyline and the Binding. Okay, Entomb is going to resolve. Trax is in the graveyard. And I have Surgical with Veil Protection. They need 2 layers here, and Daze isn't good enough. They're grafing me pitching Reanimate. I'm going to Veil in response to that. That means at least one more card in their hand is a Reanimation spell. I can rule out one of the 3 here. Because if they pitched Reanimate after entombing Atraxa, they must have more of that. Veil resolved. Good news. Grief's going to fizzle. And then let's hope they commit another reanimation spell to the graveyard here. Urktide Regent. Bummer. All right. Well, that's still fine. I'm going to Surgical Atraxa while I still have the Veil Bubble up. And then I can untap in Leyline Bind. And I get to see their hand on the way through. Force of Negation and Reanimate. Confirmed Reanimate. Archon of Cruelty still on the deck. And it looks like they did not juke. I actually don't even see a single Orcish Bowmaster. Interesting. Wow. What's going on that there's no Orcish Bowmasters here? That's fascinating. Okay. Well, at least I get to remove this Murktide. And we have something resembling stability. And Entomb does get Archon. Got a Fade Entomb for a while. There's no other creatures around. I could just fire Lorien Reveal this turn. Oh, that might be better. Fine. All right, Hup the Beanstalk. Brainstorm. I am going to Brainstorm here. I have a Shuffle in Lorien Revealed. I still have my land drop. That's sick. Okay, put back Tundra and Leyline. Play Taiga. And I can at least answer an Archon of Cruelty, even if they make it here. And if they don't make it, I'm in the business of firing Lorien Revealeds. A Grief Pitching Troll. I know their whole hand again. I am incentivized to exile this Grief. I'm going to let them Grief me once. They're going to take one of the bindings. Then I'm going to bind the Grief because... Or wait, if they reanimate the Grief, then I'm not worried about Entomb as a top deck. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, but I want to cast Lorien Reveal this turn. No, I'm just going to exile this thing. Okay, get rid of Grief. Their hand is still 2 blanks. I'm going to draw 4 cards this turn. Bang. Found an Uro. That's good news. And Swords to Plowshares. Cool. Let's party. Brainstorm. That changes everything. I liked their hand when it was bad. Now it might be good. Played Underground Sea. That's not a shuffle. Entomb. Okay. Well, it seems they have found the line. Okay, now I have a choice. I could Brainstorm, try to hit a Surgical Extraction. There's 2 in the deck. They are Hellbent. I could just let this resolve plow it. I could plow it next turn, though. Yeah, I'm going to Brainstorm, see if I could just cut it off at the pass. No love. But I could discard Uro and be pretty happy with this exchange all around. Okay, cool. This resolves. Archon's in. I discard Uro, which is kind of like drawing a card, and they also draw a card. And I'm just going to cast Solitude. There is not a single card that they could have that stops Solitude here. And this has removed basically all the threats from their entire deck. Even get to sneak a cheeky little Ponder in. Carpet of Flowers, let's go. Do I even want Carpet of Flowers? No, I'm actually just going to shuffle this. I'm off it. I have plenty of lands. That's not my problem. The only dead creature is Uro. If they have a Reanimate, they could cycle it by picking up Uro, who will then die right away, but they get a draw card. We got GG's in the chat, though. I wonder how much difference this looks if Orcish Bowmaster is in their deck. I'm just kind of confused about their list. Whether this was a sideboard plan where they were like, I have to reanimate against you, cut every fair thing in favor of additional forces and Brazen Borrowers and stuff. Hard to imagine this 75 just doesn't even have the card. I'm not sure. That was weird, but we did win. We beat both Atraxa and Archon just by doing fair stuff. On to the next round. The NYSE Open is a prestigious, long-running vintage tournament based out of New York City. It's returning again this summer, June 22nd, 2024 in Plainview, New York. This 15 proxy event has a $500 entry. That's a lot of money, but what are we playing for? First place gets a Black Lotus. Second through 8th place get Time Twister, Time Walk, and all 5 Moxen. At 115 players, a playset of Bazaar Baghdad is added to the prize pool. At 135, 4 Mishra's Workshops. At 155, 4 Foil Gaia's Cradle. This prize pool is better than Eternal Weekend. If you think it's worth playing for, sign up for the event on melee.gg or use the link in the video description, and I will definitely see you there. I'm on the draw for the final round. Positive record on the line. I'm going to keep my hand. Got a Leyline and some stuff to do. Opponent's on 6 with an Urza Saga. I've got more Force of Wills now, which means that if I have to force something, I can keep Brainstorm. They got the Saga Ancient Tomb start. Powerful. 3 plows. I have the ability to plow off many Urza Saga tokens here. I don't have a lot of information right now. Like, I want to cast this Brainstorm, but I'm also not sure if I want Forcible for this matchup or not. I'm also going to bet against them fetching Pithing Needle here. I just don't think that's going to happen. And if it does, it's fine. I just have a 5-color land instead of a fetch land. Mox Diamond, okay. Looks like some lands is what we're actually playing against here. Discarding Thespian Stage, another Saga. They're on them Saga beats. Sphere of Resistance. Okay, I'm going to brainstorm in response to this and then make decisions. Scion is really good. I don't need this many Swords to Plowshares. I also don't have to shuffle any of this. If I put back Plow, and then force this... Alright, I'm going to force this, plow the construct that can attack this turn, and then I'll play Scion and just try to flip the beats on them here. Drawing another plow. They do still have a creature in play. Okay, but my creature's bigger, and you've been tapping Ancient Tomb. Though you're still at 19 because I plowed a giant creature. They are a Wasteland deck, if they have any access to them. I'm just assuming this is lands. All the cards we've seen are lands. This could be some sort of colorless prison deck, but I think it's lands. Wasteland confirmed. Took out my poor Savannah. Soul Guide Lantern. That matters a little bit. Uro's in my deck somewhere. They can't attack this turn. I'm going to fetch for a basic island. Then draw a fresh one. Fresh Leyline. Not what I wanted. I'm going to be honest. I can potentially get a huge combat blowout this turn, because I can remove 2 constructs from play. Or 2 artifacts. 1 creature, 1 other artifact. And if they think their 6/6s are going to beat Scion of Draco in combat, I can make that not true. 5/5s. Shadow Spear. Okay. Equipping Shadow Spear. This is now a 7/7. This is going to be a big turn. They're going to gain a lot of life, but it's going to be sick. Okay, block here. I have First Strike. I can put First Strike damage on. Yeah, let's at least get that far. And then Leyline Binding. Exile this construct token. And Swords to Plowshares, the now 5/5, and then your 4/4 dies. And I mean, I got nothing going on here, but I do have the biggest creature in play and it can't be touched. Ponder, let's go. Hook it up. Lands and Uros. I like those. What would be great is if they have to sack Soul Guide Lantern to draw a card here to try to find some action, because I do have Uro on top of my deck. If they don't do that, I'll probably have to shuffle the Uro. Life from the Loam, okay. If they can work their way to a Depths, that's kind of troublesome. I am at 30 life, which is a lot more than Merit Lage's power. I can survive a hit from that. And they did not sack the Soul Guide Lantern, so I have to shuffle away the Uro. Rafine's Tower kinda sucks. I could just cycle this. I'd have to fetch my planes first, because they have access to Wasteland. I can see it. That's kind of the problem here. Okay, I'm going to fetch for planes and then cycle Rafine's Tower. Uro's back. Okay. This might end up being pretty tight if they can get Shadow Spear back onto a big enough construct if I don't have another removal spell. If they have Crop Rotation here, well, that's tough. I'm going to play Uro and see if I draw a white removal spell. Leyline Binding, ideally. Drew another Uro. Okay, if they have Crop Rotation, they have Crop Rotation. I'm going to push my damage, though. If they use Soul Guide Lantern, it makes constructs smaller, and every point on the constructs matters right now, because we are kind of close to the same size. They can make a 4/4, 5/5, tutor, make a 6/6. Equip Shadow Sphere to 7/7. Okay, they do have the rotation. Going for a Lage here does take them off Saga pretty hard. And I'm at 39. I could take a hit. I could play another Uro and then take another hit if I need to. Oh, they can equip Shadow Spear to this thing, though. Oh, goodness. Wait, Shadow Spear can take Hexproof off my Scion also. All right. Yep, this is about to be a competitive game after being kind of a slaughter for a while. It was never a slaughter. It was actually really close. Okay, do they want to lose 2 life or just tutor here? Okay, they are losing 2 life, going to 6. They didn't dredge Loam. They have drawn for turn. Expedition Map. Another Saga. Yeah, they just gained 21 life here. They're in pretty good position. That also, the extra 2 damage also means that Uro doesn't keep me alive anymore. What a slugfest. This has been awesome. Yeah, 21 times 2 is exactly what they needed here. Up the Beanstalk. Okay, they are Soul Guide Lanterning me. Alright, I have to Beanstalk anyway, because Uro doesn't save the day. Come on, Leyline Binding. Big money Leyline Binding. Field of the Dead, no! Alright, well, we're dead. That was an awesome game. Okay, Dress Down comes in. Force of Vigor comes in. I like some number of surgicals, not like a whole lot, but if I need to break up a Loam engine, I want to be able to do that. I do like access to my own Loam here. Finally a matchup where I'm leaving a Loam in sideboard. Force of Will's not that good here. The Scion was pretty dope, but I still think it is shaveable. Swords to Plowshares also shaveable. There is plenty of things to plow in the deck, but I have the Bindings, the Solitudes, and Force of Vigors, and Dress Downs. And the biggest thing you need to plow gains them 20 life. You're not even that excited to do. On the play with a 1-lander with Brainstorm. 1-lander also has Loam. This hand is really bad against Fear of Resistance, though. I love this Loam. I love the Brainstorm. I don't like anything else that's going on. I'm going to roll the dice on this. Because Dress Down's really good against their most aggressive lines. Loam's really good against their Wasteland lines. It is the Prison line specifically that I'm worried about here. And I am going to end step a Brainstorm. Because I would like to cast Loam. Island, Brainstorm, fingers crossed. Okay, fetch lands achieved. We did it. Put back Scion of Draco. I don't need that for a while. Forest, fetch. Loam back the 2 lands. Now we can play the game. And pass the turn. Okay. The risky keep paid off for now. Still got to do stuff. Got that Ancient Tomb start again. Mox Diamond. Join the party. Riftstone Portal, hell yeah. What a combo. They can discard a land that functions from their graveyard to a thing that makes mana in play. Neat. Okay, I'm going to ponder. I'll take the Brainstorm. I don't need a Tundra or a third Uro. Let them... They don't even have to lose life here because of the Riftstone Portal. Let them commit the mana, though. I do have to fetch a blue source to not get smooshed here, which exposes me to Wasteland, but I think I'm okay with that. I have lands. That's not my concern. Okay, they've chosen to take Ancient Tomb damage here. I do have to fetch, and I'm going to get Tundra. Soul Guide Lantern, yep. Unfortunate that the Loam is just there anyway. Like, I could Dress Down now, Dredge Loam, and have it, but Loam's done its job. Echoing Deeps becomes an Urza Saga. Relentless. I think what I am actually going to do is end step. I'm going to take the 5 here because they didn't equip Shadow Spear. End step the Dress Down and then put Uro into play around the Graveyard Hate. Dress Down. Their creatures are gone. I draw Valakut. Hell yeah. All right. I'm going to cast Uro and play Valakut. All right, this is the last match. If Valakut's ever going to trigger, this is the place for it. Let's hope they don't have a line to Caracas. They've got a Savannah. Loam targeting Saga. And I'm getting a turn. Another Uro. They just don't stop. I'm going to attack first. Ooh, Field of the Dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could field next turn. I could field now if I'm willing to spend another Uro on it. Is field actually good? I don't think that's better than Brainstorm or Solitude. Yeah, I'm going to play Brainstorm here. Get rid of these other 2 Uros, probably. Oh, nope. That's so many lands. I'm going to get rid of some of those. Yeah, I'll get rid of these 2. I want to hold on to a fetch land, actually. I'm going to get rid of an Uro and Volcanic Island. And then I'll play Taiga. Okay, now they begin the regrowing of the board. If I want them to gain as little life as possible, I would Solitude now. If I want them to commit Shadow Spear, I would Solitude later. And I think I'd rather have them commit mana to Shadow Spear, because them doing more things in a turn is what I'm worried about more than their life total right now. I'm going to fetch for a basic Plains here, and then let this all happen. Expedition Map is the find. Saga from hand, we knew about that one. Here's the Shadow Spear equip, and now is when Solitude comes in from the top rope. Okay, my creature is currently bigger than their creature, which is what I needed here. I can attack first, then decide if I'm going to Swords to Plowshares. I could leave back Solitude. Could just plow this thing. I'm just going to attack with both my creatures. Attack. Trigger. Field of the Dead. Happens. Plow the 5/5. This will put me at exactly 20 life. I have a Ponder. And I still have a land drop, which is a fetch land. Leyline Binding. Let's go. Okay. Brainstorm to my hand. Cast Brainstorm. Turn some of these bad cards into good cards. Get rid of 2 fetch lands here. The Rafine's Tower represents a redraw, which I'm happy to get at this stage of the game. Field of the Dead taken over. Okay, cool. Just snuck that Uro around the graveyard. Hey, easy. Okay, they're on the Saga grind. I'm on the draw now where Sphere of Resistance is a lot worse. I don't really want more Force of Wills in, especially since the card that I would cut for it is Uro, which is blue. Yeah, I think I'm just going to let Leyline Binding, Force of Vigor, and my land count play through Sphere of Resistance. Okay, I certainly have the land count here. I can break open a Loam line. I'm not that well set up versus just Saga Gaming. Forest. First exploration of the match. They've done everything they've done so far with just 1 land per turn. Ghost Quarter's annoying. That doesn't mean I'm going to play into Wasteland, though. I would like the Ponder. Alright, already clicked. Damn it. I wanted the Ponder and the Plow. I'm good on lands. I will put the Ponder in my hand and pass the turn. They're mapping. I expect to see Saga here. There it is. That is the plan all the time. And Life from the Loam targeting nothing. Big game for me. I have Surgical. I'm going to Surgical before I do anything else. And I want to see their hand, and I want to make sure the Loams are gone. And then I can decide how I'm going to Ponder. Wow, we got one from hand too. Force of Vigor over there. There's 1 choke in the deck. 3 crop rotations. Crucible of Worlds. All right. 2 Elvish Reclaimer. 2 Swords to Plowshares. A Tabernacle. They're all over the place here. 2 Dark Depths. It's probably 4 stage. 3 stage. Okay. 3 stage. 2 Maze of Ith. 1 Caracas. Haywire Might in the Urza Saga package. Okay. That was an insane Surgical Extraction. I'm not going to lie. Force of Will, 2 Plows. Plow is not how I want to beat this Urza Saga, but it does keep me stable against that start. Yeah, I'm going to just keep the Plow and then probably fetch Rafine's Tower here. They do have Ghost Quarter, and I'm holding my basic planes, which is kind of annoying. Finding a Brainstorm to get this planes back in my deck versus Ghost Quarter would be great. My own Life from the Loam. Fascinating. If they quarter my planes, and then... Yeah, I think I just have to play the planes and pass. There's nothing clever to do with Loam here. It would get back 2 things. They could still quarter me off white, and then they could get a big Saga turn. And that also incentivizes them to get the Soul Guide Lantern if the Loam is face up like that. Here I am going to Plow when this thing is as small as possible, because it is the only thing they have going on. They got Soul Guide Lantern anyway. Maybe just for the redraw, maybe for the inevitability of Uro. Wasteland, good one. Plow. Take all the pressure off that I can, at least. And I can cast Loam here, and then they can decide, oh shit, that's so much better than Loam. Never mind. Bayou, Beanstalk. I'm going to leave up mana in case I draw a Ponder or Brainstorm. Okay. If they want to Force of Vigor that, it's already drawn a card. Okay, they're just cashing in their Soul Guide Lantern. And I'm not safe if they suddenly assemble Merit Lage. I do need to cover that base. Wow, they're just casting in Horizon Canopy. I'm worried about Crucible of Worlds. Uh-oh, Ancient Tomb. That casts Crucible of Worlds. But they just played a land from hand instead. Alright. They can hard cast Force of Vigor to take out my beans. Life from the Loam, target. 2 targets. I'm not going to fetch first because I want to be able to get Taiga this turn. Or I guess Volcanic Island could have done the same thing. Yeah, okay. So if they Force of Vigor, I can Leyline Binding, in response draw a card, and I get to keep my card from binding. We're in kind of a boring little squeeze here. I'm going to play Flooded Strand and pass. I think if I act foolish and let them get a big crop rotation through, That's how I lose this game. Choke. Okay. Choke is not good for me either. I can still cycle my Rafine's Tower. Okay. I do get to untap. They can't force a Vigor now. Okay, so I can fetch for Basic Forest and Volcanic Island. Basic Forest, Volcanic Island. Leyline Binding, the Choke, which they can force, but I have already removed it and will be able to untap. I'm going to cycle Rafine's Tower. Found Valakut. Leyline of the Guildpact is the opposite of a combo with Choke, just for the record. Ponder. They dress down Solitude, another up the Beanstalk. Do these cards win the game? Maybe. Okay. Up the Beanstalk, number 2 is in my hand. I'm going to play Valakut, which is not an island. And I'm going to up the Beanstalk off of 2 lands that are not islands. I can cast Solitude, trigger Beans twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with non... Oh, wow, okay. First pitching Exploration. They're more worried about Beanstalk than choking me. I was so worried about this choke. Cool, okay. Well, now I get to play the game. I was much more worried about not having lands than I was worried about anything else. Or drawing extra cards. Okay, sweet. We only saw 1 choke during the Surgical. And they've got a Yavimaya in play, which means that I can cast this Leyline of the Guildpact off any 4 lands. That also means Valakut's on. Oh, did I play my land first? That was my chance to get a Valakut trigger. I blew it. Okay, well, Valakut's going to trigger this match. We did it. The final game of the final round. I blew it a little, but we're still going to get a few. Bang. And I've got Solitude for this Merit Lage, if they ever even assemble it. Something's happening. Oh, okay. That was a really good Force of Vigor. I should fetch in response to at least get 3 damage here. Yeah, having a second Force of Vigor is a good reason not to... or to worry about the Beanstalks earlier. Okay, Choke's in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can still Solitude a Merit Lage without casting, or without tapping an island. I think they were not supposed to kill the Leyline, actually. Because that just locks down all my lands forever. Just let me have Leyline. You're not worried about Valakut. My own Force of Vigor. Now who's cooking? I don't really care about Exploration without Loam in the deck. I'm going to save this Force of Vigor for a Urza's Saga or a Crucible of Worlds. And we're just going to play Drago for a while. Leyline Binding. I like that. There's 2 more Beanstalks in my deck somewhere. There's a Field of the Dead in here somewhere. I'm not going to start dredging to hit Field of the Dead. That seems like a way to deck myself without actually winning the game. Shadow Spear is fine. I'm going to hold back this Misty in case I find a Leyline or Field of the Dead later. Get some extra landfall triggers. There are plenty of lands in play. Leyline of the Guildpact. Okay. This does turn on the Valakut, but it also turns on the Choke on all of my lands. So I can't actually put this into play until I'm ready to remove the Choke. I kind of want to just do this. All right. Forget about Urza's Saga. Take out the Choke and the Shadow Spear. Up the Beanstalk. Let's go. Okay. Beanstalk. Start there. Leyline of the Guildpact. Red, black, green, green. Valakut you. We're doing it. Weapon online. And we got the GGs. Yeah, positive record. Valakut on the board. Okay, so this deck, I think it wants either a little more or a little less going on with the lands. Life from the Loam was mid. I tried to find room for a Wasteland when I was brewing, but with the Field of the Dead, and you want basics, and you also want to be able to get Domain, there's just a lot going on here. And at some point, like my next cuts are probably the Solitudes, or I start playing fewer Uros or something, maybe just 3 Scion of Draco in the main. I did like the gears of Draco beats that give way to Uro beats, and then Solitude kicks in, Beanstalk running, and then Field of the Dead got a win, and Valakut got a win. I think you would be better off just playing one of the stock lists than this Valakut build, but this is a fun thing you can do. We all know I like Life from the Loam Uro lands packages in grindy blue decks, and this deck hit the right notes for me in that regard. King of the Depths, thank you for this challenge, this deck. Everybody, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.